welcome to Hedgehog. Today we have something a little bit special for you. I am doing a collaboration with Simon Hurley, aka Ink Clips, and so we're premiering these back to back. So I'm going first because I'm going to create some backgrounds. At the end of this video, I'm actually going to mail them to Simon Hurley, and then he is going to create finished cards with them, and he will then premiere his video straight after mine. So after you're done with this video, we'll have a link. You can hop to Simon's channel and then you can go and see how he's going to turn the backgrounds I create into finished cards. I am using the Simon Hurley Create inks from Ranger, which was part of his new range that he launched at Creativation 2019. If you didn't see our Ranger booth tour, you can check it out in the top right hand corner. Greg got behind the scenes VIP access at their media morning and Simon showed off his inks there. So I'm going to show you a couple of different techniques. I'm going to create a few different backgrounds. I'm also going to do something with this raindrop background that I created in my ultimate guide to foiling the other day using Simon's raindrop stencil. If you didn't see that video, you can check it in the top right hand corner. I showed you how to stretch your stencil by being able to foil them. So I foiled this raindrop one and then I'm going to do some ink smushing in the background of it, but I think it'd be kind of cool techniques. So I'm going to build on that one to show you how techniques interact together, and then we're going to create maybe a couple of different other backgrounds. So I'm just going to play around in general. I have my Tim Holtz glass mat here that we're going to work on. I have my Simon Hurley inks. I've got my blenders. I have my distress sprayer. I have watercolor paper. I have stamping paper. I also have some alcohol ink cardstock. I have a mini mister full of isopropyl alcohol. So we're just going to kind of play and see what happens. Okay, so the first one I want to play with is a technique that I learned in Wendy Vecchi's class when I went to New Jersey, to Rangers HQ last year. And this was a really fun technique. Now, I know it works with Wendy's inks. I don't know if it works with Simon's inks, but we're going to find out. So we're going to pick some colours. Let's do blues and yellows. So I'm just going to pop down in this palette area, which is perfect for doing some smushing and some blending. So I have Remember Me and Clearer Skies, and I'm going to do some Over the Moon. I'm also going to grab a little bit of Overzealous, and I'm going to put some around here, and I'm going to go for a little bit of Latigator. Okay. Now we're going to spritz it with some isopropyl alcohol. So this is isopropyl alcohol, 91%. This is my alcohol ink cardstock. So basically what I'm doing is I'm turning these dye inks into alcohol inks and I'm ink smushing. You see what happens? So something just a bit different, something kind of cool. I'd be intrigued to see what he does with these. So as I say, you can hop to Simon's channel afterwards and you can see what he does with them. So you can do this actually with most dye inks. Just kind of going around, and you can see here. So it kind of creates something a little bit more subtle and subdued, but you can see you kind of get that reaction of alcohol inks that we love. And it just creates something a bit different. So it's different to your normal ink smushing, which you're going to see in a second when I do it with water. But I do love just kind of the effects that you get. So this is with alcohol on your alcohol ink cardstock. Now alcohol ink cardstock is actually incredibly porous. I know we all think of it as something that's non-porous and that's why we use alcohol inks with it. That's not actually the case, but it does work really well with our alcohol inks. And I'm just using a little bit of isopropyl alcohol spray. This has a bigger sprayer on it, so that's why I don't use it when I'm doing my ink smushing techniques. It's just a first aid spray. But it's great for cleaning in your craft room. Okay, so that's background number one that I'm going to send him. So that's how we do that. Okay, so now we're going to do some more kind of traditional ink smushing. And as I say, this is one that I foiled. I already foiled it onto watercolor paper. So we're going to create something a little bit different in the background. I'm going to go with, I'm going to do blues. We're going to do light blues, so it kind of looks like stormy skies in the background. So we're going to go with clear skies. We're going to go with Remember Me. We're going to do them in opposites. And in between, I'm going to put a little bit of woof, so it looks a bit more stormy. So you can see here, I'm just kind of dancing in some of this grey, so it looks a bit more, doesn't look so nice. I'm going to take some of my distress sprayer. So this is the Ranger sprayer. Also has an off button, so you can just click it like this and you can see now it doesn't come out. If you do it really slowly, you can just get it to like dribble one drip out too. Okay, and then I'm just going to put my stenciled piece in. So this has foil in the background. That's all it is. And I want to pick up ink between my foil. So I'm being quite aggressive because the foil is textured because it has paste underneath, which is what the foil adhered to. And I'm really trying to get in there and trying to fill in all of those gaps. I want my ink to run because there's some places you can see in here where it's not really kind of picking up that ink. So I'm going to put down a little bit more. So I'll be interested to see whether he die cuts these. Maybe he's going to stamp something on the top. Of course, Simon has his own range of stamps that he illustrated too. So what you can also do is then grab a little blending foam. So I'm going to pick up some of that wet ink and I'm going to help dab out my ink into those areas. So you don't just have to blend with dry ink either. So you can see I've just kind of filled in the gaps, but then I still have all that shimmer of the foil. But you had something to work with there, I think. And I think it's a little bit harder too when someone sends you a background that you haven't then had in mind of, oh, I'm going to create this background and that's going to be my card. So we're going to have to see what he creates. So I'm going to send him a nice variety of backgrounds. So let's choose some different colours for the next one. I think the next one will go into some pinks and some purples. We'll give him a more girly colour scheme to work with. Okay, so this one's going to be more traditional ink smushing. We're going to use some of the speciality stamping paper from Ranger. We're going to use some Rosy Cheeks, which is one of my favourite shades. We're going to use some Triple Berry. So these are dye-based inks. Of course, they're felt pad, Ranger felt pads. And I'm going to add some Bee Sting. And we're going to spritz some water in. And you know what Tim says, you get what you get and you don't throw a fit. Now by doing it on the distress stamping paper, you can see I get a more bubbly effect than if I do it on watercolour. We're going to do it in watercolour in a minute and I'm going to get a different effect again. I'm going to give it a little bit of a dry with my Ranger Heat It tool, which is my favourite when I'm working with shades like this, because it doesn't move any of that water effect around, which is my favourite part. So we can give it a nice dry. So I'm going to give him different surfaces to work with, different techniques, different colour schemes, all sorts of different things to work with. So it's a little bit dry, and then I'm going to go in and I'm going to add some more. You see, I'm not really thinking too much. See, very girly colour scheme. So. Okay, and I also like with the distress stamping paper, you see how, because it's got a little bit of a coating on it, you get some more of those kind of ripple and pull lines, and again, just a different effect. And I can still stamp over the top of this, I can still do all of my usual effects. I can also make it react with water. So if I now spritz this with water and dry, I can also take back. So I've got all sorts of kind of little spritz marks in here. I've got big water droplet marks where I had those bigger water drops and I took it back with my kitchen towel. So again, I can create all sorts of kind of fun movement and things in there. Kind of reminds me a little bit of jellyfish lines in there. I was working with some jellyfish stamps over the weekend. So it kind of reminds me of doing those sorts of things in there as well. So that's my third background. So I'm going to do a fourth one, and I want to show you on watercolor cardstock how that works. And I'm also going to show you another cool Ranger product that you can still intermix. The thing about Ranger products is between all of the designers, you can intermix lots of things as well. You don't just have to stick with one designer, which is something I really like too. So we're going to use Simon's inks and we're going to mix something else in, which is super fun. So we're going to take some of the orange, because I think that's really fun. So this is Traffic Cone. And let's mix in some yellow. So we're going to do Slippery When Wet. And we're going to do Over the Moon. Oops. And we're going to put some in the middle there too. And again, we're going to spritz. And we're going to pick up some colour. I'm going to spritz a bit more to get some more movement going. And this is the Ranger Watercolor cardstock. This is one of the whitest watercolor cardstock I have ever known, which I think is just amazing. If you want to work with a super white watercolor cardstock, I've never known anything whiter than this. Most watercolor cardstocks are far more off-white, whereas this is just white. So this is kind of my foundation. I'm going to add a bit more Traffic Cone in because, hey, why not? Again, a nice spritz. And that spritz is just allowing you that little bit of movement to pick up some colour. So you can see how I'm starting to pick this up. I'm filling in white spaces, just like this. And now I'm going to show you the cool product. So I just want to dry this off just a smidge. Okay. So now I'm going to take a fresh blending tool. So I don't think I have one on the top. But I'm going to take some Microglaze. I do have a tool in the top. So Microglaze is designed that you can fit a Ranger blending tool exactly in the top there. And you don't want to use any other blending tool because this will never blend ink ever again, because exactly what it's designed to do. I'm going to take Simon's stencil, my Raindrops one, and I'm just going to use it kind of as a little bit of an accent. And I'm going to blend some over. You don't need much, just a thin coat. I'm just going to blend a little bit here. And it will dry almost immediately. You don't need much time for it to dry. This creates a waterproof coating wherever you've put it. In fact, I might try to line a little bit more up here as well. And this is the tool that I always just keep inside of my Microlays. In fact, I'm going to leave it out because I might use a little bit more in a minute. But what we can then do is take a different set of colours. Again, and you can see how easy this is to clean up too. I mean, super easy. So now we can take something a little bit different. Maybe you want to mix in some blues. I don't know, I'm just throwing some ideas out here. Of course, the blues and the yellows are going to make pretty greens. And these are dye inks, so they're water activated. You can always reactivate them with water. But now, I'm going to make sure my Microglaze is pretty dry. It should be. My coat was a little bit thick, but I'm going to give it a quick dry with my heat tool. So Microglaze should almost evaporate immediately. Mine was a little bit thick. I should have blended it out a little bit more, but hey, life happens. I'm not going to worry. So I'm just going to help that along with my heat tool for a second. Microglaze creates a completely waterproof barrier. So if you put Microglaze on, you are never going to be able to strip back layers. You are never going to be able to pull off ink. You're never going to be able to do any of those things. But that's just the way it is. But it is also great if you want to put something through the mail, because it means that you're never going to be able to reactivate those layers. But what I can do is I can start putting blue and things on, and it's going to resist. You can see on these teardrops, it's resisting anywhere where I put that Microglaze. So those teardrops, which we'll get a close-up of, is being resisted by the Microglaze. So we can add some fun things in there too. So again, don't be afraid to mix and match between the different brands. So I'm super excited to see what Simon does with these backgrounds. I'm going to add a few more layers onto this orange one, and then I'm going to pop them in the mail. So don't forget now to go and hop over to Simon's channel. I will pop a link in that super chat, and if you're watching after the premiere, I'll also pop a link in the description below for you to hop on over to Simon's channel to see what he does with these backgrounds to turn them into cards. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell as well. And of course, don't forget to hit that join button. Ranger Ink is one of our perks partners, and you can save a ton of money shopping over at the Ranger Ink store. We had 15% off over the course of May. We have coupons going on into June, of course, as well. And then we'll have Inktober coming up later in the year. So thanks so much for joining me. Give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed learning a little bit more about those Simon Hurley Create inks. Thanks so much for joining me. I'll see you tomorrow with another tip, trick, tutorial, or maybe something a little bit different. I'll see you then. Happy stamping, everyone. Bye.